consistency we have here, we need to keep going. That's the thing.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah. So Dom, I guess will show up when Dom is here. This is actually his pick. It's CAMELOT 3000. And we're going to talk about the first 6 issues. It's a 12-issue maxi series. So I figure, yeah, let's talk about the first 6 this time. Next week we can pick up, or at some point in time we can pick up the next 6. I would not mind next week because holy crap, I've never read this book before. I've had it on my shelf for a year. And I could say that about a lot of comic trade paperbacks I have on my shelf. It's like, I know I've got them at home, but I'll go, ooh, shiny new thing I need on my shelf over here.
I don't do that because by the time I know I want it on my shelf, I know it's already good. Because to me, getting something on physical media is the last like promotion I can have of it. Same thing with movies. You know, I like a movie if I take the time to actually get a physical copy of it.
I'm not questioning whether it's good or not, but that whole shelf right there is felt like you see the Showcase Presents. I know I've read the Elongated Man and I've read the Captain Carrot on that bottom shelf with the Wolverines, right? Oh, it's 2.
I mean, if I were you, I would have suggested some of those you haven't read yet for the show we are currently doing.
Yeah, it would have been smart, or maybe I should just do my own. I just got finished reading the Midsummer Night's Dream. The ones that are not really put away are ones that I recently read. So I've got Power Pack back there. You can see the Doctor Strange there. I haven't read those. I have so many freaking, and of course we read the Dick Tracy last week. But there are so many books I have that aren't read. And you're right. I actually should be doing my own thing. This is what I'm reading right now, which actually what I'm reading right now is Legion of Superheroes. I decided, screw it. I've got the omnibus. I've got the showcase. I'm going to just read everything. And that I think would make for some decent videos. But for tonight, I pulled a book off of our, where the hell did I put it? Tonight, I pulled the book off the shelf and, hold on, I need to bring this thing. I'll be right back. All right. I had it in my favorite reading room. The only room where a married man with children can go and have privacy. Hey, Dark Admiral, how you doing, Montanui? But yes, I grabbed hold of my hardcover copy of CAMELOT 3000. I undid the wrapping. It is that. Look at this. Look at this. It's this new right there. You see that? That's how new this book is. It had never been unwrapped. It had never been opened. But I found it at, it was at, it's not called Darby's. It's a discount store that has trade paperbacks. It's Ollie's. Okay, Darby's was the first thing that popped in my head. I told you I'm having memory problems. But yeah, never read it. Opened this thing up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. So I start reading, and the bird lands right on the book. Won't let me read it. He's trying to eat the pages. And I'm thinking any moment now he's going to poop.
The bird is on his Gandalf arc. You shall not pass.
I got about an issue in, and I was like, God dang it. So I had to come down and get onto reading comics online or whatever it's called and start. I owned the book and I couldn't read it because I let my bird out. I did manage to read a couple of issues from it. But we're going to be talking about 1 through 6 here. And so, yeah, I put this book, I pick up the book, I'm reading it, and it's like instant. Holy shit. You know, I'm not, dude, I've been reading comic books for 55, actually 50, yeah, about 55 years, 50 years now. I'm 55, about 50 years now, because I remember the first comic book I got, I was 4 or 5 years old. We went to a library. It's a hardcover. It's actually in my cart. It's a hardcover compilation book, right? Where it's got a lot of golden age stories. And I really want to get this. Unfortunately, I waited a bit long. So this book that was about 20 years old ended up being, it was only $20, even though it's like 40 years old. While I was waiting to get it, did that whole thing where
it inflated.
Everybody realized, oh wait, that's an old trade paperback. We should be charging $120. So yeah, chances I will ever get this have now decreased by 1,000-fold. And I really wanted this just for at least some nostalgia sake. But I've been reading comics now for 50 years. Been a collector for 45. And it's hard to make me go, holy shit, that was awesome. I've read, there's no new comic book that's doing that. I read Absolute Batman. I read Absolute Superman, Wonder Woman, and so forth. And all the new things are supposed to be wowing people right now. It's okay.
This is a sidebar, but I hate that they're using the title Absolute as a storyline now, because Absolute is supposed to be a format, goddammit.
It used to be, right? So when I read this, like right away, I was like, wow, this is fucking good. I mean, this is something, man. And it's okay. So it's Brian Bolland on art, and it is Mike W. Barr writing it. And if you guys remember, that was one of the most embarrassing situations of my life, interviewing Mike Barr. I'm a huge fan. I like his writing. Not so much on the Florida Man, though. Yeah, you're getting it wrong there. I mean, I know we do have some drunkards in Florida, but we're not all drunkards. And part of the amazing
I mean, you of all people would know how to properly write a Florida Man.
Part of what makes us crazy is that a lot of the crazy shit we do sober.
Yeah, but that tracks.
But the thing is that the first off, right away, man, I mean, you can tell by the cover here, the art, Brian Bolland kicks ass in this book, man. Seriously. And it starts right off. And this one thing I love about older comics is it starts off and it is going, man. The one great thing about older comics is it tells the story during the action. Mike Barr or Baron. Oh, yeah, okay, I got the two mixed up. I think it was Baron that we had, not Mike Barr. Anyway. So anyhow, we start off and we find out that the world is at war. We are facing an alien invasion, and we meet our one of the heroes. By the way, he's not the protagonist. He's kind of like the guy who kicks everything off, though. His name is Tommy, and he's traveling with his parents when their vehicle gets blown up, and he just makes a break for it. Ends up being chased by aliens through into a kind of a temple of sorts. And then we meet this dude right here. Doesn't matter what his name is right now. He's the rich guy. Okay. And he's talking to this young lady on the computer who is a security officer. So the dude that was being chased in the temple bumps into what he says is a big archaeological find. And he reads, here layeth something lecit sepultus, and it's all in what you called Latin. Thank you. Here lies buried the renowned King Arthur, once and future king. And he's like, gosh, because he's an archaeologist. I finally find something important, but I'm running for my life. He opens it, and boom. Once again, I gotta say, the art in this thing is incredible. All throughout this in particular parts, you're going to see there's these big one panel, just awesomeness there, or maybe a page. Yeah. How long, how many nights has slept Arthur, Pendragon, King of Britain, Lord of the Roman Empire? And of course he pops out and dispatches with the aliens pretty quickly. Okay. Here's where I think maybe some people might end up having a little problem. King Arthur is Batman. Okay. He is. King Arthur is Batman in this. He's lo and behold, I am the warrior might, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And he could kick the shit out of everybody that he comes in contact with, you know. They kind of plays it up. Let's, you know, I'm not saying King Arthur was, you know, he was a squire, okay, before he it wasn't like Knight Arthur, you know, before he became king. I'm sure somebody taught him how to use a sword, but
one could make the argument he had quite a bit of on-the-job training with the whole greatest king to ever live and everything, but I digress.
But they do play him up like he's a superhero. Do you know what's been going on? No, I don't. Comics, that's neither here nor there on this one. But if you leave a link or something in the comment section, I will check it out. Alrighty. But yeah, they do kind of play him up like he's the greatest warrior of all time. One thing I always love about these time travel movies where they bring somebody from the past into the future is they're never like, holy shit, what the, like their mind should melt with all the stuff that is different. But
I mean, yeah. To be fair, young Wart there saw some pretty amazing things in his day, so maybe he just has a higher impress threshold than everybody else.
Yeah. So, you know, they vanquish the aliens, and it's, he tells them, you know, that they're under attack from aliens, and it's basically, okay, well, let's go save the world. And they head out to do so. As a matter of fact, the rest of the first issue could be, these are the characters that we're going to be following, but what's going on is a lot of the Knights of the Round Table, and this is Guinevere, by the way, they're reincarnations of the characters we know from the story, and their minds are trapped in the body.
Guinevere or Gwaine? Those are two very different characters.
The wife of King Arthur, Guinevere.
Okay, so it is Guinevere.
Yeah.
I was confused there for a second because I'm like, I realize their names are similar, but if you get them wrong, this is gonna get really confusing.
So basically, the whole story is, you know, we're setting it up like right here. He's saying what happened is Earth kind of retreated into itself, and when they did, space came a-calling, and the aliens attacked. And so they figured, okay, we need to get the truth. We need to put the band back together. Basically, this is the Blues Brothers, but told with King Arthur. And the first place they go is Stonehenge, because we find that Merlin had created it, and that's where he's hiding himself. And it even
that makes sense. That is a piece of folklore that is established, that Merlin not necessarily created Stonehenge, but moved it.
And he even has a bit where he's saying, hey, you know, how you said that all of the space on Earth is being taken up by buildings because the increase in population. Why not this? And he says, people have tried, but they've been thwarted. And he kind of laughs because, okay, well, that's Merlin. And he calls on him, and finally, of course, Merlin arrives.
I'm just imagining Merlin going, "Thou shalt get the hell off my lawn.
I'm in the bathroom. Something shall pass." Yeah.
Just like the magical equivalent of an electrical fence around Stonehenge for no reason.
Yeah. Alrighty, so Merlin comes in, and he says, specifically, I was baiting you so you would free me. I couldn't break the enchantment cast upon me by the scheming witch Niev. At least not alone, but
Nimue, but okay.
That's what it says. Ninev.
Nimue. It's old English / Gaelic, dude. The spelling to pronunciation ratio is weird. It's Nimue.
Well, I'm not gay. That says Ninev. I don't care what kind of Gaelic you're into.
It's Nimue. Everyone who's ever opened a Arthurian Legends book knows it's Nimue.
It's Nimue.
This is why I'm trying to save you from your own.
Do You say Nimue, all I hear is a Nimue, a Nimue, a Nimue, a Nimue, a Nimue, a Nimue. Come
I
on,
tried,
Elizabeth, sing the
folks.
rest.
I tried to
In
make
the
him
jungle, the
speak like an
mighty
intellectual for
jungle.
5
Yeah,
seconds.
that's
I
what I'm
tried.
hearing. Yeah.
I have failed, but I tried. Let no one say that I didn't try to save him from himself.
Hey, Dom, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, my apologies for the tardiness. I got the notification late.
So, where do you stand in this whole Nineveh thing?
Him away for the love of all that is holy and sane.
Even Dark Admiral agrees with me that the lion sleeps tonight with the Nimue thing. All righty, there you go.
Right now, you guys are covering issue 1?
Yeah, we're going to be doing the first 6 issues tonight.
Okay.
This is a maxi series, so instead of blasting out 12 issues and making this an overlong video, we'll talk about the first 6.
All right.
I will say this, my overall view, because this is the first time I'm reading it.
Really?
Yeah, I've never read it before. I went over this in the beginning. This is fantastic. If you guys haven't read it in the chat, do yourself a favor. Check it out. It is really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try a little bit harder whenever I see the issues singularly put together a run.
Well, to answer your question, I've actually did read this series before in the past. But it's actually been a while because I didn't get a chance to finish like the entire maxi series.
Huh. That's also another reason why we're going 1 through 6 first.
Yeah,
because I'm on issue number 9 right now.
All right, but I will tell you, like in the reread of issue 1, it still holds up really well.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is awesome. So we are getting the whole, basically this is how we're going to do it, and we need to get the band back together kind of thing. Arthur, if you notice, something is missing. So he mentions, if I'm going to defeat a strong enemy, I need Excalibur. So they go to a water reservoir. I thought that was kind of awesome.
I agree.
It's not a lake, it's a water reservoir. Because this is a very much a modernized area.
Well, presumably you can get it from any body of water if you happen to be the person worthy of it, because, the issue is just getting the Lady of the Lake's attention and then getting her to give it to you.
Well, maybe not now, but when I was younger, I could get any lady's attention. So, anyway, you did not hear that, my daughter. All right. Okay, so anyway, yep. King Arthur gets gets Excalibur, and instead of going to him, it goes to the United Nations on a stone. Yeah, and we get the sword and the stone. And I was thinking, wait a second, why introduce at this point? I mean, this is the end of the first issue right here, and at this point, my thoughts were, why bring in Arthur if you just could give somebody else a chance to grab the stone? It just doesn't. I have no idea. I don't know. This is new to me. So
because it's about who is the most worthy to wield it, and after 3,000 years, it might not be Arthur who's the most worthy to wield it at this point. Also,
Mata Nui maxi series is anything that basically goes over 6 issues or 8 tops. It's a 12 issue, or if they know it's only going to be 24 in the beginning, not like a modern day Marvel where they start an ongoing, it only lasts 6 issues and they go, it's a mini series. No, if they plan it out to be like 24 issues or 12 or anything basically above 6.
It's a maxi.
Yeah, they call it a maxi series.
Okay, but I have a mythology semantics question here.
Okay.
If the Sword in the Stone shows up at the United Nations, does that essentially mean that Arthur, or rather the Dominion of the Sword, is expanding? Because
yes,
used to be it was just he who separates the sword from the stone is the right and true and proper king of all England. Well, we went from England to the whole bastarding Western world. If this is to be believed,
that is actually something that's brought up in the book, because the world is in trouble now. The myth was that when England needed him, King Arthur would return.
Yeah,
once a future king, etc.
But in this, once a future king. In this case, the whole world needs him. So when Arthur arrives, he declares himself king of the world. We'll see that in just a few panels. Sword and the anvil on top of the stone is what I saw. Yeah, that's what I saw too, right? It's sword and the anvil, by the way. Excuse me. All right, let me share this second issue out here. I'm not going word bubble for word bubble, but I'm just, while we're talking about it, I'm just kind of scrolling through it. What were you saying, Dominic?
Well, I was gonna say what is worth mentioning is most of today's creators they should take notes of like how CAMELOT 3000 like establishes a maxi-series starting with the first issue, because it was able to tell a complete story of King Arthur's return while also like leading up to the next issue, in this case issue 2.
There are entire encyclopedias worth of notes they should be taking, but they're not going to.
One of the problem about modern day comics is, like I said, the story is told throughout the action. In modern day comics, what we saw in that first issue would have taken 2, maybe 3 issues. Patrick, yes, I love Brian Bolland's art.
Yeah, me too.
Incredible stuff. Let's see. All right, let me get this going here as we're talking and going over the story and everything, because there's not like I said, I'm not going word bubble to word bubble. Just kind of talk about what happens throughout as we're scrolling through. The sword shows up at United Nations because it's the place that's got the largest audience. So it shows up, and you've got everybody. Well, I love that this panel, by the way, is used more than once. You can tell by the guy, the way the guy looks here. And it's basically, apparently everybody watches whatever channel the United Nations is on, because you have everybody watching through here. You've got these, they introduced the Neo Men. These are prisoners who were genetically altered to be slaves. But they were also genetically altered to be impervious and super strong. Don't make your slaves and criminals impervious and super strong. That will not end well.
that sounds like a terrible idea. It's kind of like how I say do replace most of the back-breaking labor jobs with robots. Do not give those robots AI, because then you have sapient beings who have a cause against slavery to fight. And if your slave class is stronger than you and better than you in every conceivable way, you are going to lose that fight very, very quickly.
So another key fact is like the majority of the world, not just England, like they were unaware of the true origins of the Neo-Man. They thought like they came from underground.
Okay, so it's a bot style propaganda thing, man.
Yes.
So they're dispersed to get rid of dissenters and rioters, and of course King Arthur shows up just before one grabs onto a woman or a child. Nobody wears pants in this world. And
apparently one of the things the future has progressed beyond is pants.
Pants, yeah. No more need for pants. And then, of course,
either wearing a unitard or a leotard.
Yeah. Arthur shows up because he is a superhero in this book, knocks the guy out. And, well, I guess not, but he does break his neck. And this is making people go, what? That's King Arthur. Oh, my gosh. But how do you know he's King Arthur? Well, because, oh, and by the way, I also like this right here, where you get a one panel. This is basically what happened in the last issue. This is what you need to know. Come join us. You know, I miss things like that. Now
previously on CAMELOT 3000.
Right. So Arthur goes and he pulls the sword from the stone, and everybody's like, "Woo! Arthur's back, yo!" And he's
also like, as a result of him like well, uplifting the sword from the stone again. In this case, it's like the stone and anvil. Like it also released the essence of like each member of the Knights of the Round Table,
which we're seeing right here. It was a spell. We find out it was a spell that Merlin had created. Somebody was trying to divert it, but
we do learn like the readers like we learn like who pretty much like disrupted like this whole moment.
Yep. So we go to each of them, and this is basically the next 2 or 3 issues. I mean, like literally, I could talk about the next 2 or 3 issues without showing anything, and just
same here.
It is. This is Guinevere. Spirit comes up. Okay, my memories are coming back, and I'm still wondering why people aren't remembering. Going, oh my gosh, what is going on? Where am I? And what is this technology?
I'm wondering why Guinevere isn't more depressed, because as I recall in the mythology, she and Arthur had quite the falling out, and she was condemned to live out the rest of her days as a nun.
Well, here's the thing. She actually, this is brought up. Now, of course, he says, I've ignored my own castle. I've been pleading with your mind, but here I'm going to plead with your heart, and that wakes her up. And it's like she remembers the glory that was Camelot and her own place in it as the woman who meant more than life to 2 of its mightiest warriors. And
okay, so they do acknowledge the Lancelot tryst.
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, it even says we must now depart to meet the second of the Round Table Knights, Sir Lancelot. And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go. And then you see the last panel here with King Arthur going, "Ooh, yeah, maybe no."
Arthur suddenly realizing he's getting cucked across the millennium.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, like each of them, like Guinevere and the others, like they are essentially been released and are going to their like original bodies that have been reincarnated. But it does actually brings in conflict. Like once they are like bonded to the new bodies.
This I like. By the way, the rich guy, we find out he has his own satellite island. This is his satellite island that he lives on. Arthur and Merlin comes down. Merlin goes, "This is new Camelot." I'm like, okay, let's ask the owner. But no. So we get a little battle with a robot here just to show once again Arthur is a badass. And he meets up and reminds Lancelot who he is. Lancelot pledges his allegiance. And I gotta say, I do like the fact that all throughout it's like, yeah, I know you say you're loyal, but
yeah, last time this didn't go too well, so eek.
Yeah, he knows what's going to happen, and then of course we meet Morgan Le Fey.
Yeah, the owner of the hands that disrupted the process of the essences being spread out.
And damn, Brian Bolland can draw some. I mean, we always give Adam Hughes some credit.
Yeah, but no, Bolland, like he draws.
Michael Turner, Bolland does well too on the ladies.
Yeah.
And she said, "And how fortunate for me, Arthur's uncertainty destroyed the first Camelot. And if I know my half brother, the second shall fall the same way. But if Morgan Le Fey can give it a push, so much the better." And thus we end the
okay, I have a question. Has she just been around doing stuff for the last several thousand years in this universe, or was
basically,
she
yes.
awoken at some level on some level too? Because
actually she's been off world. We find out in a later issue.
Yeah.
Okay, that
doesn't mean like she wasn't active.
Yep. Hey, look, pants. They also look like they are now giants. Henry's saying this was the first Brian Bolland art that he's. I guess it would have been I didn't know him as Brian Bolland because I really didn't pay attention to this artist, that artist, and who was writing and drawing the books really. But when I saw Killing Joke, I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then it was like, okay, he did this and he did that, and yeah. But Brian Bolland, yeah, he's a good artist. I would say so.
Still is.
Yeah. So, Dominic, thus far, how did you feel about this book? Like, did you read it for this reading?
Well, it's like a trip. Well, it's like a trip down memory lane.
Oh, okay, so alrighty, so I'm the one that I had to read it. You guys, yeah, alrighty, okay. Well, let's move on to number three. Billy Madison. Alrighty, share screen. Camelot issue number 3. It's kind of something. I mean, aside from the details, really, this is let's get the band back together. So I don't know how much more there is to talk about as far as story is concerned. You know, you've got Morgan Le Fey, who is planning, who all throughout. I mean, obviously there's details and there's dialogue, but she's planning on destroying King Arthur. She's, you know, we get to know the players right away. By the way, Lancelot. She says, I told you, Lance, it can't be like it was before. No, it can be better. And then, you know, boom. And all of a sudden, King Arthur is King Cuck.
Yeah.
2,000 years and they haven't learned a damn thing.
Uh-huh.
It's more, yes, there's that, but during the reread, this was more of Morgan. She wants to repeat, be like what led to Camelot's fall.
She wants to screw her brother over again.
She's basically steering things to happen this way. But when they get their memories, they know what's going to happen, but they don't want it to happen.
But predestination is a son of a bitch, and
we
on.
get
but we do have like one of the new members, like Tom, like he is essentially the audience surrogates, because like the best thing of like about Camelot 3000 is it gives people like a primer, like of
he's
like the matters.
He's the POV character and the excuse for the exposition.
I did think it's funny that they gave them costumes. I'm like, you know, you don't have to dress like you're a knight. This is modern day. You know, you could wear whatever you think would be.
On the other hand, professional pride is a thing. So
I guess. Okay.
I mean, if you were a being of legends, and you woke up after a 2,000-year hiatus, wouldn't you want to flex a little bit about that?
I guess. But so we go and like I said, this is get the band together. We see King Arthur, and he is getting Kay. His name is?
Yes.
Yeah. His adoptive brother by way of Sir Ector, who raised him before Merlin found him in the whole thing.
And he says right here, Kay, my foster brother, in trouble as always. I see Arthur after all these centuries. I remember, but how Merlin will tell you, and they go off and do their thing. Then we get Guinevere, and she is going into where they make the Neomen, and we see Percival. Now, Percival, I remember. I haven't read the King Arthur in a long, long time, but I do remember. Nor have I seen the movie Excalibur, which, by the way, is the movie to see if you're doing King Arthur thing. But wasn't he the most honorable of them, or at least the most?
No, that was Galahad who was.
Yeah, that's Galahad.
But wasn't he the most pious? I thought because wasn't he the one that found the Grail?
No, that was Galahad. You're confusing Percival.
Okay, I'm confusing the two of them.
Okay. The test that Percival passed was the test of the Seat Perilous, I do believe.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit off. But he ends up getting changed into one of the Neomen, but he retains his memory.
He retains his mind.
Yeah. So when they try to attack Guinevere, he turns on him, and the two of them blast off to.
You're telling me we now have a Knight of the Round Table with super soldier powers?
Yes.
Well, that's King Arthur, man, from what he's already done. But
okay, but he has the excuse of being the one true king and shit.
The Knights of the Round Table have a Hulk, basically, is what we're saying now. So we go to Japan. There are places in the world not yet scarred by the aliens, but this isn't one of them. They passed through here too, destroying whatever got in their way, and a few things that didn't. And we
In
see,
other words, Japan just can't catch a break.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, it's only been 40 years. Why? Yeah. So we see a samurai, and he had failed his master, and then he
He's
says,
about to commit seppuku.
yep. And we see Lancelot, and he makes him remember that he's Sir Galahad, which apparently is Lancelot's son. I forgot that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Galahad is Lancelot's son. Originally, or at least in some version of the Grail story, there's a prophecy where the knight who finds the Grail will be found on this island, and Arthur and company go to this island and find Lancelot, and assume that he is the knight that's supposed to find the Grail, because at this point Galahad is a little kid, when, as it transpires, despite Lancelot's master swordsmanship and being, like, militarily speaking, a great knight, it was Galahad and Galahad's purity of heart that was destined to find the Grail.
All right. So they go back to wherever they need to go back to, and we go to Johannesburg, South Africa, one of the aforementioned few places left unscarred by the aliens. And
also, just to be clear, are we getting Samurai Galahad then?
Yes.
That
we have
that is
Samurai
one of the
Galahad.
single most badass things I've ever heard in my life.
Hey,
All right.
I mean, one minute you're an Englishman, and then the next, it's like you're now Japanese.
Oh, if I had a nickel. So we meet this gentleman here. They're watching about the alien invasion, and people are going off to war, and he promises kids he'll never leave them. And Merlin shows up and shows him the sword, and he's like, "No, Merlin, I can't." And then he tells his wife that he absolutely has to leave them. He's dead. He's a
Wah,
dead
wah,
man.
wah, wah.
But you know what? They don't name him. I don't see anywhere where they name him. So, but anyway, he leaves his family with Merlin, and then
Meanwhile, in Canada,
say again.
I said, meanwhile in Canada,
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Canada, there's a wedding between a young lady and a gentleman, and we see Tommy show up, and he's like, he says, he interrupts the wedding. "Who the hell are you? That's not important, fella, but you do have a job to do." "Darn right, stranger. I got to get rid of you." And he starts walking down to beat the shit out of Tommy. I mean, who wouldn't? And he says, "Hold it, McAllister. Don't you recognize this?" And he says, "No." And they're about to fight. And you hear, "Leave them alone." And the woman says, "And the rest of you go. There will be no wedding." And he's like, "Wait, you're the knight?" He says, "I am." And we find out that this is Tristan. Now, Tristan, I know from Tristan and Isabel. They actually made a movie about that. Okay. Yeah. You and your improper pronunciations. We always know.
I am sorry, but this is one of the things you actually keep me around for, to keep you honest and correct you when you're wrong.
I am not wrong about the way I pronounce words that I've never heard spoken but only read. All right.
You are, in fact, and I am trying to save you from yourself.
Okay, we need to talk about the big old tranny in the room, ladies and gentlemen, because this is Sir Tristan.
I mean, technically, well, it's not. The character's not even not really transsexual. Like only like Sir Tristan's body is
a reincarnation body swap isekai thing.
All right, but let me tell you something about this story. I've read it up to today. I read through issue number 9. Tristan being born in the wrong body, by the way, this is a huge story point. But it is amazing to me how I've said this about Peter David's work. We didn't cover that book. Maybe we will someday. But it amazes me how stuff is handled in the past so well.
Very well.
And it is so fumbled right now.
Because in the past, it was handled by people whose IQs were above room temperature.
Well,
now, we have people whose IQs are below room temperature, and all they know how to do is ideology.
I would absolutely 100% agree with you if one of those people weren't the same writer who now is in the head with woke and Trump derangement.
That to me is the truly sad thing. Not just
you know who I'm
the modern day
about.
art school hacks are laying waste to the industries and stuff.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but that the modern day older versions of these writers who were once good don't have the spine to stand up for quality control or the old school standards or anything.
Now, I don't want to.
A lot of them have actually become convinced that they were wrong to ever care about the old school quality standards. And that's the really sad thing.
I don't want to get into it because Dalton will never shut up about it. But I'm talking about.
Not wrong.
I'm talking about Neil Gaiman, who wrote a lot of what would be modern day identity politics into his stories in The Sandman. And we didn't care. It was just good stories. Same here. What you have with Tristan is a man who had been reincarnated in a woman's body. And he is constantly having to remind people, this isn't me. This isn't, by the way, we've lost four viewers while I've been talking about this. This was handled so well because it's not hit over the, you're not hit over the head.
Hit over the head.
You know,
and it's not two-dimensional. This is the correct answer. Anything else is immoral fashion.
Right. But part of it is just part of it is someone trying to find their proper identity, and their proper identity is not in the body that they were born in.
Yeah, it actually it reminded me of the character of Rama Saotome from Rumiko Takahashi's Rama One Half, like the manga, where after he fell into a pool during a trip to China with his old man, the pool he fell into put a curse on him where he transforms into a girl if he's exposed to cold water. He transforms back into a guy with warm water.
Now here's a question. Is it only because we are in the time period we are with what's going on that I even noticed this? Because I don't think I would have noticed this. I don't think I would have made anything other than...
Yeah. To call back to what you were just mentioning, I didn't really notice the trans aspects of Barbara in Game of You, or how even you could argue for Desire of the Endless themselves being a non-binary character and so on before that was even a thing.
Yeah, it would make sense for Desire because Desire is just
Desire can be anything Desire needs to be to elicit what they are.
Okay. So getting off this particular audience-crushing topic, so one more thing there, Dominic. You can
Well, actually, I was gonna bring up, because of the fact that the essences of Guinevere and the others have been released from the stone, after Arthur gets Excalibur, it would have been a good storytelling potential of there's a conflict, an internal conflict between the original owners of the bodies and the current owners. You know what I mean?
I have another interesting potential story point that I don't know if it gets focused on, but I'd like it to have been. If they were trapped in the stone waiting for Arthur to pull the sword out, does that mean they were denied any other form of afterlife? Were their essences waiting in the stone to be reawakened as soon as Arthur picked up the mantle? That's what I
gathered from it.
No, that's what I gathered too. Essentially, they weren't.
Imagine being, especially given that, obviously the Knights of the Round Table were either Christians or Anglo-Saxon pagans at one point. Imagine instead of going to heaven or going to the other world or whichever afterlife they felt destined for, nope, you're just trapped in a stone until your boss wakes up and decides he needs you again.
Yep, basically.
Right.
All right, so we see Morgan Le Fey. Basically, Morgan is watching a TV show. That's what it seems like throughout this. And we see that, even so, we have only 6 knights. One of those woman, only 10 persons all told stand against what? Merlin knows, my king, if only he would tell us. And we see Morgan, you won't find out for a while. So they're getting off on that.
This reminds me vaguely of Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, always watching on the screen with his blanket foiled and going,
that's it.
I will get you next time, damn it.
Alrighty, and then we see that it looks
the alignment of planets.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. And that thus ends issue number 3. I know we spent a lot of time on that. So there you go. No new comments though, so I will move on for this. And yeah, I just noticed we had, while we were talking about did I close it up? I did close it up, didn't I? I didn't mean to. But while we were talking about the Tristan thing, we lost we lost 25% of our viewers.
Pansies.
Yeah, I guess so.
Tis but the scratch, which
all right, we're 45 minutes in, so we might do 3 of these, maybe not in a row, but we might do 3 of these here because we're 45 minutes in, and I like to keep these around an hour. All right.
Yeah.
All right, but we move on, and oh my goodness gracious. So, and the world is excited. King Arthur is here. They're going to save he's going to save us from the alien invasion. And then, my gosh, could we have some more mustache twirling villains?
Right?
Than what we have with this group right here.
Yeah, because for a good long while, like these, like most of today's writers, they've been taught that the mustache twirling villains, they're not only passe, but they're not believable. But I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Or that it's immoral to portray anyone as evil because everyone is good from their own point of view.
No, but here it's like all the world's lead. Like this is what they see as the American leader. And he's a cowboy. I mean, he's straight up yeehaw, right? Carrying guns. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
I mean, America, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I do like the guy on the end because I know he's supposed to be like Idi Amin or somebody like that. None of my people want Rahma out. They all love Rahma. I kill anyone who not love Rahma. So they're all talking about how, well, we got to kill Arthur and his merry men or whatever they're calling themselves. This is a dude, by the way, not the best look. Not the best. I thought this was a chick. I thought
it's
Glenn
a dude.
Close could have played this, by the way.
Right, but
some people are just androgynous. Let's not get hung up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but your point still stands that like the mustache twirling villains, like the pure evil ones, like they are gradually making a comeback, but like we need them now more than ever, along with the pure good heroes.
Well, dude, you shouldn't call it a comeback. They've been here for years.
Well, but the point is that it wasn't considered like either fashionable or intellectually defensible to have one for the longest time, and now people are essentially begging for, I want a villain who has fun being a villain, and I want a hero who doesn't need some elaborate ideological motivation to be a good person.
I know in comics, it's just like, can we have a villain and not have superheroes fighting superheroes? That would be nice. So we get the round table.
At the very least, if we're going to get that, can we get them written by people with above room temperature IQ so that they actually have an interesting philosophical discussion to interact with?
Now I gotta tell you guys, like when like the knights, like coming back like from the shadows, like it's still like epic, especially when they're not being shown clearly, but in the shadows, like it screams that they are to be taken seriously.
He's saying, it's glorious, Lancelot. I only pray its glory shall shine as brightly as the original. And since table is nothing without the knights to sit, may my king, your knights of the round table. And we do see him in the shadows. And then we get them. And they're better in the shadows. I got to say, the whatever's going, Sir King, as you well know. Well, that's what he says, Sir K. He's saying Sir King. Sir Gawain, my
Mhm.
king, is the black guy that was not named. And we get Galahad, and as he's introduced to himself, and I, your highness, will serve you in this life as I did in the last, such as the pledge of Sir Tristan. And he says, I thank you, Lady Tristan. He says, Sir Tristan, sire, if you please. And this does go on. This is what I was talking about. And then Kay is like, well, we got to kill this Neo man. And they're like, no, that's Percival. So you leave him alone because he's still Percival. And so we get the introduction, and everybody's pledging their allegiance to King Arthur and the meeting. And then he announces Queen Guinevere. He says, damn it, no, you'd think Lancelot would have learned his lesson after the first time, but no, he's falling in love with the Queen Guinevere all over again. And if the round table falls with him as it did last time.
I mean, to be fair, that's also what I was saying. So good on you.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then we see the dude that Tristan left. That, I mean, let's face it, they were going to get married.
Well,
There's got to be a relationship there.
Right? Right, because I mean, this was before Tristan went into Amber's body, so it's understandable that he would be this upset.
Also,
Yep.
we get Guinevere back. Are we gonna get Isolde? And
Hold your
if
horses, boy.
What are they gonna do with her?
Hold
What?
your horses. Yeah, you're skipping ahead, dude.
You just wait one at a
Sorry,
time, man.
I'm good at Arthurian legend. So it's
all right. So here's the thing. Sergeant McAllister here, we find out, is contacted by the evil guy from before, and he says that I've got a task for
Well,
him.
McCalver.
Okay. And he says a search and destroy mission survivors are to be selected at your discretion at a place called New Camelot. He says, it's the chance I've been praying for. And he agrees because now he gets to go to New Camelot and kill Tommy and whomever has stolen Tristan from him. So there you go. That's right, Tom. Fill the flagons, but forget not your own. Join me in a toast to another battle for truth, justice, and the American way. And he says, and Merlin's kind of pissed that he's all about drinking and partying. And he's like, dude, the enemy's right on your door, man. They're coming for you. Yeah, they're here. And I do like this silhouette right here.
Same here.
That is really cool. Yeah. And he says, now come, my knights, for we must do ours. This will be your baptism of fire. And we get this awesome shot right here.
Yeah, right. Eventually, Arthur and them, they will learn about Matthew and the world leaders that want to take them out.
And I got to tell you, that's a badass shot.
I agree.
That is a badass shot. He's Brian Bolland.
Brian Bolland
is a very good artist on this. And so the aliens attack. Tristan's a little pissed that he's trying to, stay back, Lady Tristan. We will provide. Nope, I'm a knight.
Will you stop, guys? God damn it.
Yep. And I do like the fact that occasionally we're reminded that the body that Guinevere was in was a security officer. So she knows how to fight. And they kind of let her be a little bit. All right, so the Earth's forces land on the planet, start attacking everybody, and they are basically dispatched pretty well until we get to the point where, God dang it, this art is so good. It's
very dynamic.
This is a really fucking great art in this book, man. All righty. And let's see, the McAllister guy is about to kill the Tommy dude and then shot by Tristan. And we find out that Tommy's kind of got the hots for Tristan. So there you go. And all of the Earth's forces end up turning into the aliens and such. And let's see. Well, we find out that this dude here, the bad guy, is working with Morgan Le Fey.
Mr. Matthew.
Yeah. Which, once again, Brian Bolland does ladies well. And that's where we leave off. Ladies and gentlemen, that is issues 1 through 4 of Camelot 3000. There you go. Good stuff. Man, this is good stuff. It really is. Yeah, and once again, if you guys have not read this, do yourself a favor. It is worth it. Hey, maybe check your ollies, see if they have any left, because I got lucky enough.
I actually I have the entirety of the maxi series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check and see if they've got the omnibus or the hardcover on Amazon when we're done.
Yeah,
what's funny? This is kind of a sidebar, but what's funny is a friend of mine and I are writing a comic called The Lionhearted, and to the best of my knowledge, neither of us had really heard of this prior to that. But I'm having moments where I'm like, how the hell is this so similar to what me and my buddy are writing? Because
it's just a coincidence.
Well,
yeah, it's one of those weird coincidences. Because I swear to God, I have never read this, or I had never been familiar with this until just now, and I'm sitting there going, do I steer away from this to avoid plagiarism accusations, or do I steer in favor of it and call it an inspiration?
You're in favor of it.
I honestly, I think by rights we should just leave it as is. Get accused of ripping it off.
Look, you'll be fine. You'll be fine just as long as that you explain to people that you were inspired and not plagiarizing Camelot 3000.
I don't know if Amazon's where you want to go, dude.
This video exists as evidence, so if it comes up.
So this is Amazon. It's on Amazon for basically $47 for the hardcover, $30 for the soft cover. And
that's not bad for 12 issues in a nice hardcover format. That's not bad.
This is on eBay where you could get it for $13.18 for free.
I don't trust eBay, and I don't trust people not to outbid me.
Oh, these are this is buy it nows. Yeah. But anyway,
so you don't have to worry about
I've had some bad experiences with some eBay sellers.
I get it. That's why I don't do statues on eBay anymore.
Weren't scrupulous is the thing. So
hello to Tony Hayes. Tony. How you doing? Is your second command name Chips by any chance? Wait, what? What are we doing? Greetings, everybody. Ahoy to ahoy. Is your Dark Admiral March hair chips? I don't get it. I'm not going to.
He's asking who's your second in command.
Mine?
I'm confused.
Gail. I
think you might have that backwards.
Some would argue that I'm her second in command.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'll tell you, any good marriage would have would say this. I'm in charge. He just makes the decisions, or vice versa. Because that's the way it works out. Usually, that is the way it works out. Like Gail has been. This is the way my family has been for generations. The man earns the money, brings it home. The wife's doing all the bills, and so a lot of times it would be, okay, we have a situation. Well, what's the situation? Well, this is the situation. And the guy goes, well, okay, here are options A, B, and C. And this is what could come of it. My family's been very good about that for quite a while. And me and Gail kind of picked up on that, where she's just comfortable doing the bills. Oh my gosh. You know what I realized? I am on zero. I disappeared. When I got married, I disappeared. Like, I'm on a couple of car notes and all that kind of stuff, but for a lot of shit, I disappeared because she's always been doing the bills. So it's like, wow. We went to when we went to buy a house, they were like, we don't have you on file. Is it really?
So in other words, Eglantine, blink twice if you're in danger from your wife.
No, it's just, it was kind of funny because people are telling, it's so hard to get off the grid. I'm like, no, they ain't get married. So there you go. Nutter Butters are awesome, by the way. So yes, I, having never read this book, even though I owned it all this time, this is fan-freaking-tastic. We only talked about the first 4 issues tonight. It took us an hour. That's why I like to keep them short. That's why we're doing only 4 issues. We will pick this back up sometime later. Give Dalton some time to read it, and maybe we'll go in. But we'll do this in chunks, I think. I don't know.
What's easiest is if I can find stuff as motion comics, which there's a surprising amount of motion comics for free on YouTube. But
also comic dubs.
If you go to like the DC universe, they have their, like Marvel has theirs, DC has their comic book thing. I know DC has it set up where you can go panel to panel, the way the motion comics do it. So, unless you're talking about motion comics like the Watchmen and the 1966 Captain America cartoons. Your silence tells me you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean with regards to the Captain America cartoons. I didn't know there was a version of that with Watchmen.
Yeah. All right.
No, I mean motion comics were a thing. Like even like CD comics, because where you can actually like read a comic through your DVD player.
Hold on. Thumbnail. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's get back to by the way, anytime you see a thumbnail where I am big smile, mouth wide open, I am making fun. Like in my head, I'm making fun of it. But the thing is that doesn't play on the thumbnail. It just looks like I'm doing the thing because I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
you can't really convey irony in still photography.
Yeah, sarcasm doesn't go on a thumbnail. But yes,
it's kind of like you can't really do sarcasm in text form either, but for the most part, unless each other really well.
Every Asian photograph. Yeah, I bought the floppies when this was first published. Later, I thought it was a trade, and then I found the hardcover at Ollie's. Me too. Let's see, and I bought it again. It is freaking incredible. I can't wait to finish it. I'm on issue number 9. We'll blast through it. The big question is, do we continue it next week, or do we separate it?
I'd separate it out so that when it comes back, it'll be like a treat.
Okay, but are you saying that because you truly think that's the way we should do it, or are you saying that because next week is your pick? Oh wait, no, next week is Darth Cato's pick.
That's true.
We're going to be doing the first issue of Kill or Be Killed. When we were talking about the stories we wanted to do, Darth Cato put in a couple, and he put in Brubaker's Kill or Be Killed. So we'll be doing that, and then
next week back to Camelot.
Yeah, we could go back to Camelot after that, and then it's my pick of Fallen Angel 1 through 6.
Hey.
Yeah, so that should be fun. Spider-Man, yeah, man. Sometimes I'm thinking we should put more days into this so we could do more.
Didn't you want to do that? Didn't you want to do that Hulk issue at one point?
Yeah, I did. If we can find an extra day, any side story, if we can find an extra day to do it, I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I still need to pay you for Saturday's auction, 21. Well, let me check, Tony. Oh shit! No, push the chair away. Don't push the table away. Damn,
that could have gone very, very badly.
I'm so fat that the rolling chair wouldn't move, but the table will. Okay, that doesn't hurt the confidence at all. Why? Why do you ask?
The Man versus Gravity challenge impossible.
Tony Hayes, 21. Yep. Right here.
All right.
Yeah. There we are. Damn. Now what do we talk about? If we had read more of the book, I would go, but I'm kind of
You were the one who suggested me. Never mind.
It's okay. Look, no, I actually do think it's better. I do think it's better just for a little banter at the end and just because you don't want to overextend. You don't want to
overstay the welcome.
Exactly. What were you trying to say, Dom?
I was gonna say we can go over like what we appreciate about Camelot 3000 so far, whether regardless if it's like it's anyone's first time or it's a reread for him or her.
I will say now. Hold on, Mike Barron and Mike Barr. Okay, who is Mike Barr? Mike Barr. All right, because I got them mixed up, I think. So let me check to see. Okay, Mike Barr is the Outsiders. All righty.
Yeah.
So something. This is gonna sound somewhat egotistical of me, but
he did
something that I
Star Trek
appreciate.
too. Okay.
Something that I appreciate about Camelot 3000 being is this is my first time ever reading it.
Yeah.
Normally when I make side comments about stories, I'm the only one who is that pedantic to think of these things. But with this series, no sooner would I make a what about this thing from the lore, what about that thing from the lore, and the issues would actually bring up the thing I was mentioning. So that says to me that the writers of Camelot 3000 and I have similar levels of autism with regards to Arthurian legend.
He obviously at least read the
that.
book. He obviously at least read the book once, so he could go into all of that. You mentioned Gawain, and here's Gawain and the body of the Black Family Man, and then you mentioned when they're gonna bring in Isildur. Well, the next time we talk about Camelot, you'll get Isildur because she's brought in as a foil for Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. If you have not read this, please go out and check it out. We were looking at Read Comics Online. That's where I was reading this from. You could also, if you go there, it's just called Read Comic Online, and it's you could go in, you could check out any number of things. That's where also I'm going to be checking out Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker, which is next week. So by all means, please join us in the conversation. We're only as far as I know, we're only talking about the first issue. So go on ahead, check it out. If you don't have it, Read Comics Online has it, so you can check that out. And
or if you have the trade paperback of Kill or Be Killed, take it out of your bookshelf and read it.
How many does the trade paperback take? You think 1 to 6 issues?
1 to 6 issues.
Okay, so we could do the same thing. We can talk about the first story, I guess, or a few issues ahead if we need to or if we want to. Check out the original Falcon 1 through 4 miniseries. They're great, says Tony Hayes. I will put that on our list, sir.
He's not wrong.
I have been doing that.
He was involved. Well, like in that Falcon miniseries.
I have been doing that. Anytime somebody makes a decision, I put it down in our thing
list
here. Yep. Falcon 1980 series, by the way, you are talking about, because I am not rereading that 2018 shit.
No. We're talking about the real Sam Wilson, not Ta-Nehisi Coates Sam Wilson, or even
where they made him a community organizer because Obama was a community organizer.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is always the wrong answer. Yeah. We have established this. He's one of those writers that is always the wrong answer.
But Captain America Sam Wilson didn't start with Coates. It began in Rick Remender's run on Captain America.
I am still on the Captain America simply shouldn't be a mantle train, but then again, I'm very annoying when it comes to mantles. You have to do a mantle really well for me to justify it being a mantle in my head.
Well, in the past, anytime somebody took the outfit from Captain America or Batman, it was to show that only Steve Rogers and Bruce Wayne could be those.
I.e., there's a reason why these characters should be these characters. You can't just slot any old randomer in there.
Exactly, and unfortunately, they kind of went away.
Like one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why Rick Remender's with Captain America run isn't so well loved.
Right. I mean, my quintessential example here is probably Dr. Fate. That's the reason why I only really like maybe 3 of the Dr. Fates. The first one, Kent, of course, and his wife ends up being 2 of them. And then I actually don't mind when Hector Hall was Dr. Fate for a hot minute, because they did really interesting things with him taking on the mantle that was different from what Kent and Enza did. But for the most part, everyone after Kent and Enza who takes over the mantle of Dr. Fate suck at being Dr. Fate.
Huh. So you didn't like, excuse me. So you didn't like the brothers duo in Eric and Erica when they share the mantle of Dr. Fate.
No, not much. I
I
don't.
just
I despise Khalid. I despise, of course, Jared Stevens. I will say I didn't mind the Strausses, and I'm actually really excited. Because as of like last week, the JM Demantis run of Dr. Fate, where we see the Strausses for the first time and actually focus on them taking over the duties from Kent and Enza, it actually got an omnibus, which is only the second Dr. Fate omnibus that's actually on the market. The other one being, of course, the Golden Age Archive edition, which I also own. There need to be more Dr. Fate trades and omnibuses, damn it, and not just the New 52 shit with Khalid, because fuck Khalid so hard.
right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with Khalil, like he just should have been like a new character that doesn't have to be Dr. Fate.
Or if you want him to be Dr. Fate, actually do what they should have been doing this entire time and show Naboo training him, just like he did with Kent when Kent was a kid.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I just added Action Comics #1 to our list because I've always wanted to explore not Superman. You know, there's a lot of other stories in that. So there you go. Let's see. Liberty Legion is good shit.
I agree.
Yeah. I did sell the first appearance to somebody in an auction recently. I got some new D&D dice from Five Below, the 4-sided dice. Five Below? That they sell Dungeons and Dragons stuff? That is, the 4-sided dice is not a pyramid style one. I thought it was a 3-sided dice was the pyramid, right?
There is no 3-sided dice. At least not in the standard dice set.
Ah.
Well, I guess it would, because the bottom and then
because you have to have a bottom on the thing, and that makes 4 sides.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Yep. All righty. That makes sense. I guess. Huh. Anyway, there we go. Last thoughts, anybody, before we call it?
Well, I am looking forward to actually finally reading Kill or Be Killed, because I've known about it for quite a while, but didn't read it. Nonetheless, I am looking forward to touching on CAMELOT 3000 again in the week after.
I've heard of Kill or Be Killed, but I never really had any intention of reading it, so this is going to be one of those expanding my repertoire.
Well, Brubaker is one of those writers that anytime he comes up, Eric is saying, "Guys, this is a writer to be paying attention."
I am familiar with Eric singing Brubaker's praises.
Yeah,
very loudly.
He can do like any genre of fiction.
So, and there are many graphic novels and something that might actually make the cut at some point. That being said, thank you very well. Dark Admiral saying Kill or Be Killed is fantastic. Well, that's what we're talking about. So join us next week at 9:30. We're very fluid in the times here. We say 9:30, but tonight it was closer to 10. So between 9 and 10 is when we're going to start. Yeah. Barely do we go.
We're trying to shoot for 9:30 if the world stops getting in the way, please.
But the thing is, this is mine and Gail's old day off. Like we would go out, and if Gail says, "You know what, I want to go out," I'm going to listen to my wife. So we might actually start later. And sorry for everybody. Last night I had to cancel the show because Gail woke up unable to stand with a pain in her lower abdomen. So I was afraid of appendicitis. She ended up, so I didn't even get on the computer. I stayed up in the room. I was always on call just in case something happened. And I didn't want that awkward, Oh, honey, are you feeling good? Okay, no, guys, I got to stop thing. I just wanted to be.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to have to stop the live stream because she needs to go to the emergency room.
I was very much acting like a 1950s dad in the delivery room, except for I was expecting my wife to deliver an appendix. That being said, she woke up, she fell asleep and she slept through the night. And it was very early. She fell asleep. So I stayed watch and I was so worried. I fell asleep for 30 minutes last night and that is it. I just, like I said, I did not want to be groggy. I didn't want to be anything. So I do apologize for not doing a show last night, but we'll just push everything back in for season 13. So there you go. And tomorrow is Storm covers, but not X-Men. So I have the pleasure of going through every Storm cover to find the 12 most interesting and awesome. And maybe I'll have some rejects and everything for a video before the show. Check us out tomorrow at 10:30. And then Wednesday is One Slick Dude's first choice, which is a Golden Age artist by the name of L.B. Cole. And I did some EC stuff as well as others. And that's going to be interesting as well. So please keep an eye out for that.
Be a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I love Golden Age books. I really do. I think they look awesome. So
right there with you, dude.
That being said,
that's as good as the Silver Age.
Yeah. That being said, thanks for hanging out with us. Please share this out, and hopefully you guys read some Kill or Be Killed and come and join the conversation in the chat. That would be awesome. Because when I'm scrolling, I do leave the chat open to myself so I can see both what's going on, so I can read off your comments and such. I really appreciate that, and I keep forgetting to put on anyway. All right, you guys have a great time. Don't forget to do all the clicking, the liking, the sharing. If you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the till, or drop $5 and tell us what you want us to do, and we will do it. It gets priority. If you said, here's $5, I know you're doing Kill or Be Killed, but I really want you to do Amazing Man. One of us would love you for it, but we'll do that next. But anyway, thank you very much for all of that, and as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night, kids.
Cheers, guys.